Hi, welcome to Comp 1. I am Brittany Dixon, your instructor, and I'm happy to have you all in my class. I look forward to hopefully giving you a lot of new skills that you can use toward writing, composition, reading, and all things English. So, today, all I really want to go through is your syllabus, some of the assignments that you have coming up, some worksheets that would be helpful for you to look at before we have our next video, and talk about our first major assignment because this is an 8-week course. We will be going through things pretty quickly. I want to remind everyone that I welcome all questions. Please email me, call me, come by and see me during my office hours if you ever have questions or feel like you don't understand something completely. It's better to go ahead and get ahead of a problem before it becomes a hindrance to our grades. Okay, so first let's talk about the syllabus. So to access your course, you're going to have to be able to get on Moodle. Obviously, you're on Moodle because you're watching this video. If you would, please pull up your syllabus so that you can go through it with me. So as I'm looking through the syllabus, a lot of this is going to be very similar to your other classes. Your syllabus gives you a course description and my instructor information, which is also available on Moodle through different tabs like my contact info and office hours tab. I also want to point out that this is an online class, so we will not be meeting in person. It tells you the textbook that we will be using, which is Hand to Mouth by Linda Tirado, and we will be doing primarily discussion board topics to discuss the book. Since this is an 8-week course, we won't have time to discuss it a lot through video chat. So I also wanted to point out the course objectives, the grading policy, and how to access your grades. So all of your grading will be done on Moodle. And if you look under the grading policy, you'll see that you have 3 major essays, which will comprise of 70% of your grade. You will have journals, discussion board, and quizzes for the other 30% of your grade. And when you go down to activities and assignments, you will see the preset due dates for all 3 quiz essays, which is the profile assignment, expository essay, and the argumentative essay. Now, you will also see the due dates for all 10 of your journals, and the due dates for your quizzes are set in Moodle, but I'm going to say that it's to be determined dependent on the pace of the class. So if we are hitting everything when we should be hitting everything, then the quizzes will stay the same as far as the due date that's set in Moodle. But if we get behind or ahead, then we can adjust that. Your discussion board post, you'll notice there are 8 of those, and the due dates are set for those as well. My attendance and makeup policy is basically I want you to make sure you're checking in every week, you're doing your assignments on time, and if for some reason there's something prohibiting you from being able to do that, please stay in contact with me. I can't read minds, so as long as you are talking to me and we're communicating, then we can make sure that you're not getting behind in class. I wanted to point out there are student learning outcomes. These are basically what do we expect the student to learn throughout the course. The program objectives tell you more about the general studies program and what the objectives are for those courses in the general studies program. Your academic dishonesty policy outlines CRC's policy on academic dishonesty, and academic dishonesty is anytime you are not doing your own work. Now, in terms of writing, a lot of times we refer to that as plagiarism, but we will have a whole section on plagiarism. We will talk about exactly why that is not a good thing and also how to prevent it. Your disabilities policy basically covers those who may need extra time or some other kind of adjustment made for their disability. And if that is the case, you will need to get all of that verified through the disability Office of Disability Services, and they will provide me with the documentation so that I can make sure your accommodations are being met. Campus safety talks about how to stay safe on campus, and safety is a priority here at CARC, so we would like for you to make sure that you visit that link there and look at the safety plan that we have in place. There is a list of things that you need to do if you have questions or issues. You always want to start with the professor, then go to the chair if that it doesn't resolve it, and then go to the dean if that doesn't resolve it. And the information for all of that is in the syllabus. Your tutoring information is also on the syllabus, but I have provided that in a link as well under resources. Important dates, if you don't know, for instance, when finals are or when Thanksgiving break starts, you can check that out on the link I've provided for the CARC academic calendar. In most important phone numbers at CARC can be found at the bottom of the syllabus in that big long list of phone numbers. FERPA, if you're not familiar with that, that stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. So basically this ensures that we are not giving your information out to anyone that you have not explicitly given us permission to give that information to. COVID-19, since this is an online course, it will not affect us as much. However, if you happen to come on campus, make sure that you check in and are aware of any COVID policies that we have going on. Right now, masks are not required. And that covers the syllabus. So I want to talk a little bit about these assignments. You have 10 journals. Your first one is due on the 20th. And it is not anything you need to stress about, okay? Every single one of these journals are what I call give me points. As long as you do it, you get the points, okay? The point of the journal is not so much for me to count off for your mistakes as it is for me to give you feedback without you having to worry about being counted off for mistakes. And then using that feedback to help improve your grade on the essay when I really will count off for any mistakes that you make. So it's important that you do the journal not only to get the points, but also to get that critical feedback that's going to help you prevent any mistakes on your essays. And this first journal is not hard. It says to the very best of your ability. This journal entry needs to be written in APA 7th edition. If you've never written an APA 7th edition, just do your best. No citations or works cited will be necessary, meaning if you quote or paraphrase or summarize someone else's words, then I want you to attempt to cite that. However, I do not ask that you use citations or a works cited or reference page. It would be best if all this came from you for the first one, and you'll see why in just a moment. I'm about to tell you exactly what I'm wanting you to write in this first journal. Also, use your best grammar. That means if you're not giving me your best, I cannot give you feedback correctly. So use your best grammar. My suggestion is you go to the resources tab, click on that Grammarly link, and sign up for a free Grammarly account so that you can copy and paste your work into Grammarly and get feedback on how to correct your grammar mistakes. Also, all journals will need to be between 350 and 500 words. This is only about a page to a page and a half of typed, double-spaced work. So that means it's not a super long thing. I also want you to make sure you're answering these questions in Journal 1. What do you feel are your strengths as a writer? What do you feel are your weaknesses as a writer? Describe your previous experiences in English classes, whether that's positive or negative, and what do you hope to learn in English this semester? So I want you to format your paper as if it's a regular essay. So that means I'm looking for an intro, I'm looking for a body, I'm looking for a conclusion. But again, if you are not familiar with that, just do your best. The point is for us to get our toes wet and go ahead and get started on writing so that we can immediately start getting feedback on how to improve our writing. Now, let's talk about that first essay because the essays are the biggest points. So, that profile assignment is going to be due in 16 days and 6 hours, according to Moodle. That's on Friday, November 4th at midnight. I always say it's good to get started about 2 weeks before your essay is due. So, what I would suggest that you start doing is start brainstorming for your topic. What am I going to talk about in this essay? And here's the essay prompt. I'm wanting you to write 2 to 3 pages about an intriguing person, place, or activity in your community. This is called a profile. You will either choose one of the following options. 1, a brief profile of an event, a place, or an activity observed once or twice by yourself. And 2, a brief profile of an individual based on 1 or 2 interviews done by yourself. There are longer, more fully developed profiles. You'll find these a lot of times in magazines about famous people, or magazines about famous places or events, and they will cover these in the magazine. And a profile basically is telling us what exactly it is that makes this thing special, that people should know about this thing for, whether it's a person, place, or an event. So I want you to observe your subject closely and then present what you've learned in a way that both informs and engages the reader. Now, I don't expect you to go off and start writing this profile. We haven't talked about the writing process. We haven't talked about the profile and how to write a profile, but I want you to start brainstorming. I want you to start thinking about what is it that is interesting to me that I want to profile so that other people will learn about it. And I think it has something special or important about it that people would want to learn. So that's your profile assignment. And again, that is due in just a little over 2 weeks. So it's always good to go ahead and get started. You want extra time, not less. Your quizzes, the first one is going to be over grammar, and it is going to be available October 25th. So it will be available from October 25th to October 28th. And what I will do is in our next video for next week, we will go into detail about the grammar that I want you to look over before then. So the place that you can find those grammar worksheets is going to be under your worksheets tab. And all of those should be right at the top, and they start with grammar dash something. So look over those worksheets. It looks like there are 6 of them. There are a few things that's not covered in the worksheets that we'll talk about in our video chat that you may encounter on your quiz, but I want you to go ahead and start looking over those worksheets and studying them so that when I talk about grammar in the video next week, you are familiar with what I'm talking about. Also, go ahead and look over that outline. That is the next worksheet underneath all the grammar worksheets, and we will be using that next week as well when we start putting our brainstorming ideas into the outline to decide exactly what we're going to write about. Okay, and we'll go further into that in next week's video. Now, I do want to mention the discussion board. The discussion board, as I mentioned when we were going through the syllabus, is going to be over our book. Now, our book is Hand to Mouth, Living in Bootstrap America, and it is about living in poverty and some misconceptions that are often had whenever someone who has not experienced